Hi, my name is Amber Crowder, and I am the co-owner of B.a.R, an LLC dedicated to consulting, owning, and operating inclusive communities within the hospitality industry. My best friend of 26 years came out to me in 2013 as queer. She asked that I support her by going with her to queer bars in DC. Of course, I said yes, so over the next couple of weeks, we went to Nellie's, Dirty Goose, and A League of Her Own. We were really uncomfortable and had a horrible time in each and every bar. No one looked how we looked. They didn't play any of the music that we wanted to hear. And a lot of times when you're the only person of color in an establishment, you get stared at, and that feels super unwelcoming. Which brings me to the dilemma. Queer people of color do not feel comfortable in bars that are not inclusive. Seeing the need for this in the market, I opened up my own inclusive space called Wicked Bloom Social Club. It was successful from the jump because there was such a need for it. If you look over to the left, we started to outgrow the 1,000 square foot space. I started looking for additional commercial space. Then the pandemic hit in March of 2020, and the mayor implemented a citywide shutdown. Since our lease was up in October, I decided not to renew it and just go ahead and focus all of my energies toward a new space. This new larger space will still be built on the idea of inclusivity, and it will also be a space where you can come and feel safe no matter what your race or sexual orientation. An inclusive community is a place where everyone can exist, and it really works hard for people who have been historically marginalized to feel equal. B.a.R is inclusive because we are Black-owned, woman-owned, queer-owned, and formerly incarcerated-owned. DC has one of the largest queer populations in the country. 92,378 people in DC are queer people of color. There are only 12 queer bars in DC, and none of them target people of color. We have decided on a location on the H Street corridor, which I liken to kind of like a hipster U Street. The address is 1402 H Street Northeast. We're going to call it the Bloom, an ode to Wicked Bloom. It's 3,400 square feet, and we anticipate opening in September of 2022, right in time for the H Street Festival, which should generate a nice amount of money. There are no bars on H Street that will offer what the Bloom will. H Street is a really long corridor that starts at the 300 block and goes all the way to the 1500 block. I decided to do a comparison of bars between us from the 1200 block right to the 1500 block. We're all kind of in walking distance from each other. There's only one other bar that caters to people of color, and there are no bars that cater to queer people. So we feel really good about having our presence right there in that community. We're going to make revenue off of hookah, which is really popular right now. It causes people to stay at the bar longer and drink more, which in turn causes them to spend more money. The main way that bars actually generate money is through alcohol sales, which can have a 400 to 500% markup. Then we'll be selling food, which is a really good way to address people that don't drink, but also for people that do drink, it helps to soak up that alcohol. Lastly, we'll be having events, and that'll be a good way for us to meet people who have never heard of our establishment. In order to make sure that we're still relevant, we do a weekly pop-up every Monday, really odd day to have an event, but we still make between 7K and 15K every Monday. And if you look at this video, you can see that we fill this 2,000 square foot space up quite lovely. We also will be having a sublease with this coffee shop who has a really good presence in the DMV area, and they're going to split 50% of all of our operating costs. We've been contacted by the mayor's office of the LGBTQ affairs. We have a large social media following, and since we are the only bar of this kind, we have already been contacted by a lot of press. My business partner, Cassie Womack, and I are very much equipped to run a bar of this size and magnitude, and we have a lot of experience between the two of us. We're asking for a mural and a muralist. We want a really, really unique design element, something that's going to attract, the social media influencers. We want people to be able to take selfies in front of the wall, and we want something that's just going to attract customers walking by. So if you could assist me with that, that would be amazing. And if we win the 3K, we would use it towards licenses and permits. DC has a lot of regulations and they can get pretty pricey. So we'd love some assistance with that. Thank you so much for listening to my pitch. And I look forward to seeing all of you on September 22 at the Bloom. Cheers.